Let's give him a round of applause as he comes up to the stage.
Testing. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for that. Good morning, everyone. So, if you don't know who I am, my name's Dwayne, and I'm a husband to Zoe, and we've got 2 children, Noah and Esther. We've actually got a third on the way as well. He's due to be here in about 3 weeks' time. So I've spoken in different arenas, at churches, at camps, most recently in schools. But I don't know, I was a bit nervous about coming here and speaking here for some reason. And I was asking Zoe, have you got any advice for me? And she said, yeah, don't try to be charming, don't try to be funny, just be yourself. I was like, thanks, Zoe. I'm reminded of a story of a boy, and he just starts thinking about life, and so he goes to his dad and he says, "Hey, Dad, I've just been thinking, how did we all get here, and how did this come to be?" And his dad said, "Oh, that's easy, son. God made humans, and then humans made other humans, and so forth. Here we are today." And he goes, "Okay. Hey, Mum, how did we all get here? I've just been thinking, what's your take on this?" And she said, "Oh, that's easy, son. We evolved from monkeys. First they were monkeys, and then over time, they just evolved into human beings." And so the boy's perplexed, and he scratches his head, and he goes, "Dad, you lied to me. You said we were from humans. Mummy says we're from monkeys." And his dad said, "Listen, son, I didn't lie to you. Your mother was talking about her side of the family." So what do you think about, though? What do you think about? Have you ever thought about strange concepts like giants? And that's the name of this talk today, Slaying Giants. So my first question is, do you believe in giants? Do you believe in giants? So this guy here, he's in the Guinness Book of Records as the world's tallest man. His name's Sultan. I think he's from Turkey. It's not the greatest picture, and I just wanted to give you some scale, just how big he is. I know he's not as big as the structure behind him, but hopefully you can see you can see the boy that he's standing next to, just to give you some kind of scale as to how big he really is. And so we got this giant here, one of the largest meat eaters, and I think the largest tooth ever discovered was about 30 centimeters, so like a school ruler. And they can run up to 20 miles an hour as well. So imagine that beast coming at you. What about these giants? Anxiety, fear, greed, pride, pain, low self-esteem, questioning identity, and comparisons. And this list isn't exhaustive. It's just, I couldn't fit every single thing on one slide. And these are some of the things that I've gone through, and some of my friends, and sometimes when I'm counseling other people, these are just some of the things that come up a lot. So I'll go through that list again. Anxiety, fear, greed, pride, pain, low self-esteem, questioning one's identity, and comparisons. And the reason why I call these giants, because these are actually really big things that are in our lives that we can face. They're giants because they are and can get in our way. So how can I fight a giant? How can we fight giants? So we're going to go through a story. I'll paraphrase it. It's from 1 Samuel, and it stars a teenager and adolescent. His name's David. And the situation that David is in is that his country, Israel, is in a war with the Philistines. And in this particular scenario, what was decided was that so the Philistines will pick a guy, the Israelites will pick a guy, whoever won out of those two would essentially win the war. So the Philistines chose a massive beast of a man. Some say he was between 9 and 12 feet tall. His name was Goliath. And he wasn't just tall, he was a warrior. And Goliath would say something along the lines of this, like every day to the Philistines. It went something like this, and again, I'm paraphrasing. It was like, which one of you wimps wants to come and fight me? I will take any one of you, anytime, any day. Who dares challenge me? And not only do I think not only do I think you're idiots, I think your God's an idiot as well. So like, this is what he was saying. And so every single day, the Israelites would hear this, and you could understand why they would be intimidated hearing this. And so one day, David's just down at the camp, and he's just bringing his brother some food, and then he's like, hears this in the background. I think you're idiots, and your God's an idiot. And David's mad. He's like, whoa, what am I hearing? And so David asks this question. He goes, What would I get if I fight this giant? And so the word gets back to the king, and David was told he would have a wife, I think fame, wealth. And so David was like, I'll fight him. The king looked at David, and he was like, I don't think so. You're just a boy. This guy isn't just huge. He's been fighting all his life. This guy is a warrior. But David somehow convinced the king to let him fight the giant. And it's not like the king had a list of people to choose from. David was the only one that wanted to do it. So reluctantly, the king says to David, fine, you can fight him. I'll help you here. Wear this armor. So he puts his armor on David, and David says, your armor doesn't fit me. Your armor doesn't fit me. So David takes it off, and then he goes down to the battlefield. And if you've been in church or you've heard children's stories about this is, you know how it goes. They exchange pleasantries. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And then David gets the slingshot out, throws stone straight in Goliath's head, knocks Goliath out, takes out his sword, and chops his head off. Great story, huh? But there's some things that I would like to look at in that story, and the goal of today is to maybe use the things in this story to help us with some of the giants that we face. So the first thing I'd like to look at is the question that David asked, what will I get if I fight this giant? Now, this is something practical that we can do, preferably with loved ones, people that you know, you trust, and people that you know love you. And actually sit down and think about answers to these questions. What would I get if I was to fight fear? Perhaps there would be doors open to you that were never open before. Perhaps a whole new life opens up because now you can go places that you couldn't go before. What would I get if I could deal with low self-esteem? Maybe it could be that you might see that you are a gift to the world and we need you. What would I get if I could fight comparisons? Maybe it could be that we can just enjoy someone else's talent just because they're good at stuff. What would I get if I could fight this giant? The other thing I'd like to draw out is your armor doesn't fit me. Now, I'm all for wisdom. I love wisdom. I love taking advice from people who have been through similar walks that I've been through. But at the same time, I'm very cautious when someone says, you need to do this exactly the same way that I did this. Because at some point, there's going to be a piece of armor that doesn't work for you. And I think someone needs to hear this today. It's okay being you. You're okay. You're fine. So you're a little bit weirder than everyone else. I get that all the time, all the time. So you don't look at things the way that other people look at stuff. So what? It's okay to wear your own armor. I just feel like someone needed to hear that. There's nothing wrong with your armor. Now we look at David's success, the secret to David's success. So there used to be a debate once upon a time, and scientists were debating if this world was eternal or if it had a beginning, because there's different implications for both. And right now, it's not really so much a debate now as to if the world had a beginning. I think scientists are disagreeing with how and who, but this debate that the world had a beginning isn't. Yeah, you don't really find that that's really a topic so much in the realm of science. So what studies have shown is that something like time, for example, time had a beginning. So whatever it is, like we're disagreeing on whatever it is that started, but whatever it is that created time, it can't be time itself. It has to be outside of time. So you could say that it's timeless. Space had a beginning. So whatever has created space has to be spaceless. We have matter. Matter's come into being. So whatever has made matter can't be matter. It has to be matterless or immaterial. And then we look at the Big Bang and we can see how powerful the amount of power it took to create this world, and also how things are so orderly. Like things are just they're on purpose, and they have been on purpose for a long, long time. So this is just what the findings of science. So when you look at timeless, spaceless, and immaterial, a powerful, and an intelligent being, who are we talking about when we say God? And if we strip God back to his most basic, isn't he at least this? Isn't God at least this? I believe he's so much more than this, but he's at least this. And this is like stripping him back to his absolute basics. And this is not arguing from me opening the Bible. I'm literally just saying what reports and studies have shown. But he's written 2 books. He's written the book of nature, which Paul argues from Romans 1, and he says, do you know what? You can just look outside and you can just see how orderly things are, and there has to be something behind this. But he's also written the Bible, and it's in the Bible that we get to see God's character. And I know there's stories in there that might make you question God's morals, and we don't hide from that. We bring those to the surface and we talk it out, and we hash these things out. That's okay. But the more you study, the more you see God's character in the Bible, you can't get away from the fact that he cares about his creation. It's really hard to ignore that big fact that God absolutely 100% cares about what and who he's made. And nobody in the Bible depicts this more than Jesus. Jesus, in fact, was God with skin on. And you see the words that Jesus said, along the words of, I didn't come by myself. I came because my Father from heaven, he sent me. The things that you see me doing, I'm not doing this because I'm by myself. I'm doing these things because this is what God has told me to do. These are the things that God wants. So I and God, we're not separate. We're one. So when Jesus is telling a man who couldn't walk to get up, I'll make you strong, that's God's heart towards that man. When Jesus is gathering people and he's taking care of the brokenhearted, this is exactly what God wants. And this is exactly, Jesus shows God's heart in all of this. So now you have this being who's massive and who's powerful, but you also have a being who seems dedicated and motivated to helping the people that he created. So not only does he have the power, but he has the heart. I don't know if you've been in this situation, but have you ever gone through something and then I don't know, some people around and they just don't know what to say to help you, and you're obviously in pain, and they end up saying something like dumb or insensitive or silly. And I've done it as well. And if I've done it to any of you, I'm sorry. I've got my own faults as well. But one of the most insensitive things I think I've heard and I've said is something along the lines of, in time things will get better, or it will get smaller in time. And I get that there are some things that we can and we do blow out of proportion, but that's not the talk today. I'm talking about giants. The reason why I'm calling these giants, because these really are giants in our lives, not because we're making them big. These are actual giants in our lives. Like if you've gone through anxiety, if you suffer from anxiety, you know what I'm talking about, because no matter which way you look at it, from the left, from the right, from the front to the back, it's a giant because it's a giant. So I'm not belittling these things at all. I'm actually on your side. I'm calling these giants because these things are way bigger than us. But what I am saying is this: there's a bigger giant than those things. There's a bigger giant, and in comparison to that giant, these things are smaller. Not in terms of they're smaller to you, they're still giants. It just so happens that there's a bigger giant who's more powerful and who's dedicated to helping you fight these giants. So my question at the beginning was, do you believe in giants? And I'll tell you the story and then close. So one of the giants in my life was facing pain. Like I would do anything to not face something that was going to cause me pain, and that led to that opened doors to other destructive behaviors. But there was a lot of trauma growing up in my life. One of the most painful experiences was when I lost my mum about 20 years ago, and I don't think I actually processed it until really recently. We were doing Keys to Freedom, it was, and there was a bit on grief, and so in this sense of the story, my armor was that I needed it to be in this kind of circumstance. I needed a group that I could speak to. I needed some people to pry this out of me. I needed my wife as well. That was my armor. But then I felt face to face with pain, and I couldn't make a joke up. I couldn't do anything. I felt it was right there, this big giant. And then God just like putting his hand on my shoulder, and he says, "It's okay. It's okay. It's okay." And I was like, "Well, God, I miss my mum." I know. I was like, "God, I really miss my mum." "Yeah, I know." And then I started bawling. I was crying my eyes out. And I was like, God, I miss her. I miss her so much. What, it's been 20 years. Why am I crying so much? I miss her. And I felt like this pressure just draining from me. And I started thinking about her life as well, because she was an alcoholic. And it must have been so sad for her to think that she somehow missed, like, this is what she had to turn to. And I was just like, God, I wish I could just tell her how much I love her. And I just felt God saying, I know, you can let it out, let it out. And I said earlier that sometimes when we face these giants, it can open other doors for us. The doors that were open to me was, I found that, I don't know, I found myself being a stronger father and a stronger husband as well. And we have this thing at home where if you're feeling anything, just put it on the table. It doesn't matter if it's messy. You don't need to bottle it up. And I think it's really made us really close, me, Zoe, Noah, and Esther. And there's like a bond. And it just feels, I don't think it was there before. If it was, I hadn't seen it. And so this is just one example. You know, you guys, you've got loads of examples of your own. And this question is really genuine. I'm not saying it in a condescending way at all. It's just, I don't know the answer, but if it's not Jesus, then who is it? And it's not like, if it's not Jesus, who is it? I'm being serious. Like I'm being genuine. Like I don't know the answer to that. If Jesus can't help you, then who else is big enough to take these giants on? I don't know the answer. Who else has proved how much he loves you? Like, I don't, what is it that Jesus has to do to show you how much he loves you? What's he not done? Why not Jesus? Like, who else loves you as much as he does? And he pays attention to everything you do. And he knows you so much, way more than you know yourself, way more than your closest human friend knows you. And he's so wise. He's been around forever. He's been around forever. So if it isn't Jesus and you do have someone else or something else, who is it? It's Jesus. He's huge, and he's dedicated to using his power for you. So do you believe in giants? I do. I do. And there's no bigger giant than Jesus. He is the biggest giant that I know, the most powerful giant I know. And he's got the best and the biggest heart that I know as well. He would use his power for you because he's motivated and he's dedicated and he's got a proven track record of how much he cares for you and how much he loves you. So let's pray.